The first book introduces children to Freddie the Frog and his land. Now, Freddie lives on a place called Treble Clef Island. So here's how it works as a parent. Simply, all you do is you open it up, you either load that CD into whatever your music device is, put it in your computer, upload it to your MP3 player, and then you just push play and you turn the pages, or use a CD player or the CD drive on your computer if you still have one. But if not, there are ways to do that, right? All right, so now the story begins with Freddie in his treehouse, and he is singing. Now, all of this has audio with character voices. So the same way that, think of any character that you see in a cartoon on TV, and if I said their name, but I'm not sure if I legally can, so I'm not going to mention it. If you said one of their names of a certain character, you can instantly hear and recognize their unique voices, right? The same way with Freddie and his best friend Eli and the other characters. They have distinctive voices, sound effects. So it's kind of like a movie and a book, but it's a book. So the story unfolds, and in a child's mind, here's how it works. In a child's mind, Freddie lives on Treble Clef Island. But this is kind of hard to keep redrawing. And so for a child, this thing over here with all those black lines and white, and that squiggly thing on the side, that is a map of Treble Clef Island called a staff. And wherever that circle thing is, which we know is called a music note, but that oval marks the spot of the events or the characters in a story. So in this case, this place marks up here in the trees where Freddie's treehouse is. Right? That's as simple as it gets, but it's magical for kids. So you don't even need to explain that at all. All you do is just let them enjoy the story. The audio track will do the work, but for you as a grown-up, you understand how it works then. As you turn the pages along with the audio track, Freddie, for the first time in his life, he has to be left at home while his parents go hunt for food for bugs. Because in this particular case, they know that it's going to be more dangerous if he is with them hunting for bugs, and they know he'll be definitely safe in the treehouse. They've taken all the measures, but it's the first time that they've tried it, and so he's a little scared. And at first he's a little nervous. Then he thinks, well, how do I work the toaster waffle, right? So kind of some fun things. And then, whoa, I can do whatever I want. I can turn up the music as loud as I want. And so that's what he does. In the middle of the night, he hears some thumps. Now, as this is super easy for you to do, but you can guide your child by doing this simple thing. Whenever you see the 4 purple thumps, or whatever color they are, most of the time they're purple, but the 4 thumps, then ask your child, and you do it too. You don't need to ask them, you just do it. I take 2 fingers like this, and I thump. I'll put this down. I thump so we can still hear the story by going thump, 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 thump. And I stop and wait until the next time we see the words in the text. Thump, 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 along with the story. And what you are doing is you're instilling a sense of the beat and tuning their ears into hearing the beat while the story is going on. These little tiny steps are very important for kids and to help them understand how to find the beat. But again, you're not talking about it, you're just enjoying the story and you're interacting with it. So you'll see this thumping continues a little bit more. He peeks out there and he's so curious what is making that thumping noise that he decides to sneak across Crocodile River. Now, he knew Crocodile River was a little bit dangerous because there are crocodiles in it, and it's marked over here. So he's very careful. He's always wondered what that gray monster was on the other side of the bridge, and his parents had always warned him, don't get near them because you could get squished. But he'd always wanted to see one. So he snuck out and he goes across the bridge, and the bridge is shaking from the thumping of what we know the gray monster to be, but is the elephant. But the kids don't realize, Freddie has never seen an elephant before, so to him, it's a big gray monster. The thumps get louder. Again, we're thump, thump, thump every time it comes along. And then the big gray monster turns and looks at him and charges at him. Ah! Thump, 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 thump. And Freddie is scared because he thinks the monster's trying to get him. Ah! But that monster turns around and says, "Hey there, are you okay?" He thinks, doesn't sound very monsterish. And it quickly finds out that he is an elephant, and that elephants don't eat frogs, they eat peanuts and peanut butter. And he would love to have a friend to play with. In fact, the whole reason that this elephant was tromping back and forth was he was very bored and he was looking for a friend to play with. And when he turned himself ready, he was afraid that Freddie was going to fall in the Crocodile River. And so he raced to capture him off of the bridge so he wouldn't fall in and save him. But Freddie thought it was the opposite, thought he was coming to get him. Well, they quickly take care of that misunderstanding and become the best of friends. And from that day forward, every adventure and every day in Freddie's young life is that he and Eli go on adventures together. That's kind of this is the beginning of the story. That's why it's so important to start with this first book, even if you think, oh, that other one sounds really good, for your child's sake, or if you're a teacher watching this, your student's sake. They need to enter Freddie's world. It's kind of like the pilot show of a TV series. All right, the pilot is that you need to enter the world, you need to be introduced to the characters and their personalities and the setting. And that's what this story does. It pulls them in and they become part of Freddie's world. So here you notice that Eli lives at the bottom, and it's marked by this music note here. They do the hokey pokey together. They dance, they sing, they all do all these kinds of things. And then the parents meet and they become best of friends. Now, I'm not going to give away the rest of the story. You understand now what to do with it. But I will tell you this. Stories are wonderful, and the reason that this has been an incredible way to introduce the language of music to kids. Remember, we're just planting seeds just like we do in the rest of our language. You know, in speaking language, children, babies, toddlers, they hear us speak and they start to imitate our sounds, right? And that is why it's critical that singing is one of the things that really helps children. And in fact, as you are a baby yourself, think about it. Your first sounds, of course you don't remember, but if you asked your parents, were sing-songy type of sounds, not formulating words. And a baby that, if you have a baby or a child, which I assume you do if you're watching this video, then think about the first sounds that he or she made. They were cooing, they were different pitches up and down. Those were pre-talking, speaking. It was actually a form of singing. And developing the singing portion of that actually helps their speech patterns, their memory, and also their connection with you and whomever they sing with. So it's really, really important. Now back to speaking. So speaking, we naturally listen and imitate sounds. That's how we learn foreign languages as well. But then along the way, we start to understand what symbols represent sounds that we're making, speaking and speech. So this is the introduction to what symbols represent music notes in the language of music. It's not to take off and start reading music right away. It's introducing symbols in a way that's fun and that it sticks because it's a story. And that's the point of the first 3 books. So I'm just introducing you to the first one so you know how to get started, how easy it is, how engaging it is. And I'm going to jump, there's more to this story. There's a bigger adventure that happens. We're going to leave that alone for now, but just show you that at the end of the story, what's really important is that kids have repetition. Now, they will want to hear the story over and over, so that's not a problem. But then something that can reinforce their learning in a very fun way is that Freddie is afraid they're going to forget their story. So that's why you want this little Freddie that I introduced you to a little bit ago. And so you say, oh, Freddie's afraid you're going to forget his story. Do you remember his story? I wouldn't forget his story. No, I remember. And then you ask these simple questions like, do you remember who lives up here? Here. What was here? What was here? Do you remember what was here? Do you remember what was here? And the answers are on the next page in pictures. And if you look at the letter that's inside that music note, that is the first letter of the word. So for example, Freddie lives up here, and it has an F. And so this just let it lie when they're really little, just to have them ask who lives there. Once they have developed enough that they understand sounds of the first letter of a word, you know, they're in that, in a school setting, that's typically mid-kindergarten year and first grade. You know, you're so smart. Do you know what letter Freddie starts with? And they'll say, F. Great. All right, so now you can say either Freddie lives there, or you can just answer F, the first letter. And that's as simple as it is. It's fun, and repeat those questions off and on. So that's tip number 1. It goes along with the first storybook, and I invite you to get started as soon as you can.